Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of The Singing Voice Explained. Today, we're going to be talking about breath. So, you've been breathing your whole life on and off. Sleep apnea, folks, I apologize. Uh, Uninterrupted, except for a few situations. So, the respiratory process, for the most part, is automatic. We don't think about it. That's why we're able to drift in and out of consciousness, etc. And we still continue to breathe. So that brings us to a crux of the issue here about what about the breathing process can we control and what part can we not control. Now, direct movement of the diaphragm, is that possible? I don't know. You tell me. Is it possible, however, to control all of the other muscles, the intercostals, the abdominal muscles, all of the other supporting muscles? Is it possible to control those? Yeah, a little bit. So let's use the scientific method. Oh gosh, I don't know if that's accurate or not. Let's use the scientific method and take out some variables so that we can improve our breathing. So, breathing is super complex. The diaphragm is the main actor in this, except for he's not alone. He's got a lot of supporting actors. Along the lines of 25 to 30 muscles are involved in the breathing process. So, what are the biggest actors, co stars, whatever, if we're going to keep this silly analogy going? The other actors are the intercostal muscles. So these are the muscles that are threaded between, around, and behind your ribs. Okay, so your rib cage is here in the front, it's a little bit lower in the back. Those muscles are huge in this process, okay? By expanding the intercostal muscles, by when we inhale a low, nice, deep breath, we can actually expand the rib cage outward to an extent to create more room for the pleural sac. I'll talk about that on what's that about, the pleural sac. The pleural sac to expand downward. So you get a much better, much more supported breath when the intercostal muscles are expanded and there is a larger volume area to be filled. Now, the abdominal muscles are also a huge factor in this. Okay, the transverse abdominal muscles and the other abdominal muscles, the ones that I clearly just, it's not, it'll never happen for me. Anyway, so breathing is super complex. To say that it's just breathing in and breathing out and that's all is probably dangerously reductive. Thinking about our breathing in a way that supports our phonation is critical. Okay, the vocal folds, it is said, are the ones actually controlled. Are in the. Let's try that again. The the vocal folds. Okay, the vocal folds are actually the primary actors in breath support, in breath control. Okay, because it's really the valve. Um, Interestingly, I'm going to leave you with a little factoid. Breathing is probably one of the most complex things that we do as peoples. No, we're amazing, amazing, amazing human beings. Okay, but there are 4 stages. This is 5. This is 4. There are 4 stages of breathing, of the respiratory process. Usually people think about it as I breathe in, I breathe out, inhalation, exhalation. But there are 2 more parts to that. One of them is suspension. So I can take a breath in for 3 seconds, 4 seconds, let's say 4 seconds. We're going to take a breath in for 4 seconds. I'm going to hold that breath for 4 seconds. 1, and then I exhale. Okay? Exhalation, the third part. The fourth part is recovery. I like to refer to it as rest just because it recovery would suggest that you stay there often when you're in song mode, when you're in singing mode. But I would say it's more like a rest than a recovery. Come see, come saw. Okay. So there are four stages to the act of breathing. Okay. The act of breathing is inhalation, suspension, exhalation, rest, and recovery. So let's do all of those in a sequence, why don't we? Just so that you can understand what it is that I'm talking about. So for this exercise, you are going to breathe in for 4 counts. You are going to hold that for 4 counts. You are going to hiss for 4 counts. And then you're going to stop for 4 counts before you breathe in again. So I don't know where you're going to be at on the whole emptying out process, but here we are. So 4 counts inhalation, 4 counts suspension, 4 counts hissing, 4 counts pausing. Here we go. 1, 2, breathing in now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And so on and so forth. So that's a great way for you to isolate those pieces and parts out. Now, of course, you would not do that in your actual performing because there's a thing called music, and music dictates that time is part of the design. Time and pitch, those are the two elements. I think we need to talk about barometric pressure. What is barometric pressure? Well, there it is. Around 15 pounds of pressure per square inch at sea level is being exerted on your body at all angles, at all times, at sea level. 15 pounds per square inch. Does that affect us often as singers? Yes, I think that it does. I think a change in altitude equals a change in barometric pressure. The higher you go, the less gravity, the less air is pushing down. I'm going to talk about this in a different video. Anyway, the act of singing is constantly changing your internal pressure to that above barometric pressure and that below. So creating a vacuum on your inhalation and then forcing the air out through contraction during your exhalation. So you have to surpass barometric pressure for air to leave the body. So, I want to finish this episode with a couple little factoids for you. Why is talking about breathing so important when it comes to singing? I'm breathing right now as I speak. Surely I'm doing it right. There's a fundamental difference between speaking and singing when it comes to the amount of air, the amount of capacity that you use of your lungs. Okay, there is a thing called vital capacity, and then there's like a dormant capacity. It's sort of like the extra gas in your auxiliary tank, so you can make it to the gas station and not look like a silly guy. Anyway, vital capacity is the amount of air that you can bring into your lungs and exhale out of your lungs. It is thought, it is studied, it has been said that we only use 13% of our vital capacity in a normal respiratory cycle when we are speaking. That's not a lot, 13%. Okay. The next number, 54%, is the amount of vital capacity that we use in a single cycle of breathing when we are singing. So the difference is not only the amount that we are breathing in, but also the amount of time that we are holding that breath. And so when we talk about breathing, we're also talking about controlled exhalation. Okay, so why do the alarm bells go off in your brain? It's not necessarily because I haven't taken a breath in a while. It's the stuff inside is very stale. Okay, so it's not the impulse to to necessarily complete the respiratory process so much as it is there's a chemical reaction going on in here, and this air be getting stale on that long melisma. This has been a fun talk. Please like and subscribe. If there's something about the voice or singing that you'd like for me to blather about, I would love to do that. Please comment, like below. This has been another episode of The Singing Voice Explained.